a member representing Zango Katav Federal Constituency from Kaduna State. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you and all the listeners.
First, we would like to, as a station, extend our sympathy to your people. So you are representing them here in the nation's capital. So we extend our sincere sympathy on the recent killing in Zango Katav, especially the villages that were attacked.
Thank you very much.
But let's begin with your own thoughts about the whole incident. So many persons will be asking the question why this particular region of the state, Southern Kaduna, Zango Katav precisely.
Thank you very much. If you look at the issues that have to do with this crisis in Zango and Katav, it predates even this administration. Things started going wrong in the 90s and getting to 2000, and then of course sometimes we get to a point we say, okay, we have now achieved peace, but before you know what is happening, crisis erupts again. So it hasn't been, it's not a recent event, but several things have been happening. Some of them could be land dispute, some of them have been religious, some of them have been tribal, some of them have also been clashes between farmers and herders. So there are multi-dimensions to this crisis, but of course, ever leads of a human being, it's uncalled for.
So it means we can't really not trace why we're having this continued attack. Like you mentioned, so many factors may be responsible. But I believe there have been dialogues and negotiations with warring parties, as the case may be, if it is communal crisis or farmers' elders' crisis. Have there not been any concrete solution from the very beginning that would have probably reduced these attacks?
The truth about it is that sometimes as the representative of the people, you get to a point after an attack, you keep wondering, what else needs to be done? We have had meetings with different communities. We have had engagement with youth. We have had engagement with tribal leaders. We have had engagement with religious leaders. We have had engagement with Fulani, Atiab. We have had engagement. It has even gone to a point that we have even extended the discussion with Fulani up to Bauchi State. So not just within Zango and Katav or Kaduna. And sometimes when you just relax and you feel as, okay, there is peace, then in the night you just wake up one morning, or for me sometimes I receive calls around 10 o'clock, 3 a.m., 2 a.m., that there is an attack, then the whole thing begins again. And sometimes the attack may not even last for 10 minutes. But by the time you start gathering corpses, you discover it's so alarming. Sometimes they will enter a community and within 10 minutes, with sophisticated weapons, before you know what's happening, maybe 30, 20, 10 people are gone within 10 minutes.
It's a pathetic, very, very pathetic situation. But let's look at the area, Zango Katav, in terms of the terrain, because it seems it's so easy for this, like they call them government or bandits or wherever they are, to just come into a community. How is the terrain like? Is it somewhere, a place that cannot really provide security, or security cannot cover that area, that will keep having seamless attacks as we recorded in the weekend?
Now, Zango and Katav is one of the largest local government in Kaduna State. So I represent Zango and Katav and Jaba.
Okay.
And then when you look at Zango and Katav, it has boundary with Kachia local government in Kaduna State. It has boundary with Kauru local government. Also in Kaduna State, it has boundary with Plateau State. It has boundary also with Kaura local government, that's area of Kagoro. It also has boundary with Jama'a, which is Kafanchan. It also has boundary with Java. So it's surrounded. And majorly, the people are farmers. So there's a very large, it's a very big local government. And then because they are farmers, that has been the reason why we begin to have these farmers and herders classes. So they can come from different directions, but it's not as if we don't know the direction that most times they come. But the problem now is that when you're looking about the head of the clashes in the night, a sleeping community, not expecting anything like that, then suddenly you begin to hear loud sound of guns in the community. So the first thing you would do is that you will set confusion in the community. And sometimes some people are running.
You don't know the direction.
They don't know the direction. And it's so pathetic that something happened recently. I went to commission a bridge, and then they were now asking children, small children in the community, what do you want to become when you grow old? One say he wants to be a soldier. The other one say, I mean, you just pick them randomly. I went to commission a project in the school, so I picked them randomly, and I say, what do you want to be? One told me vigilante. The other one told me he wants to be a military man. Another one said he wants to be a policeman. So you can imagine what has really happened in the mind of the children. Because all they see, look at what is common among all the profession they want to do. Security. So a child in primary school, less than 7 years, is even aware of the situation in those communities. In the rainy season, people run into maize, into their maize plantation near the community, because you can't even farm kilometers away from the community. So the little farming people are doing have to be done within the community, and even that, you are not safe. Because apart from all these killings you're hearing, gunmen enter a community and kill 20 and kill 30, kill 5. There are also, pockets attack here and there, that sometimes somebody will go to farm, will not come back, and you now begin to search for the person. Sometimes they see the corpses, sometimes they don't even see it. Or sometimes it takes days before you recover the corpse.
Well, okay, let's look at security, like you mentioned. Even a 7-year-old child knows that he needs to secure his community. And that's how the situation has degenerated through. But if you're looking at security attachment in Zango Qatar precisely, what is your assessment? Are we really having much deployment as expected in that region?
Yeah, the first thing is that if you look at it everywhere, I think in Nigeria generally, the number of security personnel is even by far less than what we should have, considering the population of Nigeria. That's number one. Secondly, Nigeria has been at war for many months, for many years, and that also depletes the security that we have on ground. For example, the war in Borno State has been there for many years. Crises here and there, Niger Delta, southern Kaduna, banditry in Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Niger. So you see, with that, and then when you come to a police station in a local government and you begin to ask, how many policemen do you have in this local government? And the DPO tells you that I have less than 80. I mean, 80 policemen to man a local government. That's where we start from. And then, of course, sometimes I don't blame when governors start demanding for state policing. So as let it be that the security in their state are managed, handled by the state. Because right now, no matter the situation, the governor has to rely on the commissioner of police and also the GOC in that state. So you discover that when you come to security, honestly, the number of security per population is very, very low. And then we are also at war in different areas. We have the Operation Safe Haven that covers southern Kaduna or some part of southern Kaduna. Recently, after some attack last year, I had the opportunity of sitting with the Minister of Defense, and then he graciously approved increase in the personnel. But of course, the best is that we be at peace, because you can never have enough military, enough footmen to police or to man every community. It's not possible. So if there is problem in Zango and Katav now, and whilst we are still dealing with that one, problem erupts in Plateau, Niger State, Nasarawa State, how are you going to handle that one? So the important thing is that we look at the root cause of these problems and really deal with them. And when they are not dealt with.
So as an interim solution now, are you saying that the deployment of these security personnel might not be the solution to it? Since we don't have enough hands.
At the interim, we need security. But you know, I'm being realistic. You can't put soldiers in every village. And the unfortunate thing is that even if you position soldiers in a community or by the road, the soldier sees everybody. The soldier will not just respond to people passing on the road. The criminals, they know the soldiers, but the soldiers don't know them. I don't know if you're getting me. Somebody may be on his way to commit crime, and he has just passed a police.
Well, they are being trained to fish out people like that. So
how do you fish out? As I am right now, if I have the intention of committing crime, I'm not with any gun, I'm not with any dangerous weapon, and I pass your checkpoint, then you will keep me. How will you know? Beyond that, the way we prosecute people that have been found guilty will actually deter many from executing those nefarious activities. That is another place that we really need to look at. The justice system. Equity, fairness. If a Fulani man commits crime, deal with him. If an Atiab man commits crime, deal with him. But where there is selective justice, it creates a lot of problem. And it brings about all these reprisal attacks.
all right. Look at the state itself, government. What has the government been doing ending this endless killing in these parts of these states? Because it seems like you mentioned, the issue of state policing is what most state governments are always clamoring for, to see how they can actually have their own outforce and see how they handle their own internal security issue. But it seems like the one in Kaduna State is really, I wouldn't say handicap in terms of handling most of these security challenges. But what has been the state government's contribution so far in ensuring that we have peace in this region?
It's unfortunate that Kaduna State at the time became the epicenter of all this banditry, kidnapping, and all this insecurity. And several times, even during COVID, even up till now, there's still a lot of security engagement. We have sat with the governor several times on these security issues, where sometimes the governor also, shows his displeasure and incapacity. Most times, the governor says, is incapable of dealing with some of these things because he needs to go through the commissioner of police. He needs to go through the GOC sometimes to get deployment of military men. So if there is state police, I believe that even though the fears that many people are nursing, but I think by the time we get there, we'll be able to deal with some of them. You will never have any a program that be void of challenges. But if we are sincere, we can deal with those when we get there. But I think Nigeria is getting to a point whereby state police is very, very important. But let me say it here. With or without state police, if we are not sincere, and if people are not assured of getting justice, even if we create state police or village police, it will not work. It will not work. For example, sir, you are a Nigerian, and the common belief is that if you see something going on and you report, it's not just your details that they will take. But if you are not careful, one day you will call this office that you are not able to come to work because they call you to report at the police station. People need to know that the government is sincere. People need to know that there is justice. If I report, what happens with the report? Will I become a victim of the report, or will I benefit from it? For example, now, you report a crime, and later you become, like they say, the haunted. The hunter became the haunted. So the justice system, fairness in the community, will actually go a long way. We used to have these, okay, look at the herders and farmers crisis we used to have in our communities. When a Fulani man graze into a farmland, before the person goes to report himself, before you even know that something had happened in your farm. So if that takes place, I mean, somebody goes into my farm, graze there, and destroy my crop. And before I even knew that something had happened like that, the person took himself and reported to the community. I'm so sorry. When these children were grazing, they mistakenly entered your. I am so sorry. With that, do you think the farmer will go and start attacking the cows? He will not do that.
My colleague from Benin Network Studio also has a question for you. Evans, Mr. Amos is here too. Honorable Amos is here. You could ask him your questions.
Honorable Amos there for trying to find explanation to the situation in Kaduna. Now, the issue of killings in Kaduna State has assumed a national concern, national interest, because for those of us that don't live in Kaduna, we probably have relatives, friends, and, you know, if you like, well-wishers in Kaduna State. But the concern here is that it looks as if that the victims at times are underreported. The number of victims at times are underreported. Now, the one that happened, the most recent of it now, that happened about 3 days ago, we are beginning to see conflicting numbers. Some papers put it at 29, some say 35. Now, in as much as the government in Kaduna, as led by Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, is joining hands with the federal government to find a lasting solution, but don't you think we should have, you know, for the sake of emphasis, we should have specific number of people or victims now so that we can know exactly what we are dealing with?
Okay, thank you very much, Evans. The reason why you have conflicting numbers is that sometimes the right figure. And then sometimes the people that give them the right figure don't also have the right figure. I know some challenges that we have also is that, okay, for example, the community before the last that was attacked, about 8 people were killed. Then after that, we have people that are rushed to the hospital. And sometimes the number keep increasing. If you kill at the spot, you discover that 10 people were killed, and it's reported that, okay, 10 people were killed. Maybe before evening or the next 2 days, you may also discover that 3 people out of probably the 10 that were taken to the hospital have also died. So that's why sometimes you have conflicting number. I'm not saying that always the conflicting number is as a result of those dying in the hospital. Sometimes even the people reporting are not getting the correct figure. Even if something happens in Abuja today, if you pick different newspapers, we keep seeing figures. In we also need be very good to make sure accurate. But when it comes to a community like that, from those that lives, there are those are being died, and within a week, the figure, you know, will just be changing because of those that were taken to hospital, and some of them don't make it.
Evans?
All right, so thank you. But let's, get it one more time. The killing in southern Kaduna, is it in any way political? Because those are some ways that some persons are looking at it now, that there are some political undertone that has to do with the killing. Because do we think it's in any way political?
Honestly, if I tell you that the killing is political, maybe I'm not being exhaustive. I would say it is multifaceted. It is political, it is communal, it is religious, it has different faces, depending on the crisis. Because right from 1990, if you begin to look at some of the crises, they always have different angle to it. But then, after a while, they begin to have different faces. Sometimes a political crisis can turn from a religious crisis. Sometimes a religious crisis may begin to have a communal or racial differences. So sometimes they are mixed. If I say it is just all political, I may be wrong. If I say it's only religious, I am also wrong. So there are different angles depending on the triggers. And sometimes it could be triggered by a political difference, then at the end, religion will come in, the racial difference will also come in, and begin to see it happening in different dimensions.
All right, that's my question from Benin here. Over to you, Dominic.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Evans. Well, as we wrap up this discussion, I know persons from Zango who are watching now will want to hear from their lawmaker this morning what he has for them, especially as concerns security. They want to know what has been your own measures in all these taking to ensure that safety in Zango Qatar.
This weekend, we're also going to have engagement. We have been having engagement. And I've been speaking with the traditional institution there, the security apparatus there, and we go to the community and we have meetings. I've had meetings with the Fulani, I've had meetings with the Hausa community, I've had meetings with the Atiab, which is the Kataf, and the entire local government. And sometimes when we sit there, you see, we always want people to understand that without peace, there will be no development. Without peace, there will be no progress. Without peace, our area will be abandoned. We are not happy that anytime our area or southern Kaduna is mentioned, it is mentioned for the wrong reason. We want the narratives to change. We want to build peace among the different communities. We are hospitable. We are peaceful people. And we also want people that come to live with us to also understand. I met somebody once and told me that, oh, we don't want Fulani to stay in our area. I said, that is far from it. I told him that, give me 5 minutes. Shall I put a call right now while you are here? And I will just check 1 or 2 communities, call 2 or 3 people. Before I get to the third person, I can tell you that there will be somebody that is not far from a Fulani man. Or not far from, not just a Fulani man, not far from where cattle are grazing. And if you want a video call, I will show you. That's to tell you that the southern Kaduna people are not saying, oh, no Fulani. No. But let there be justice in dealing with some of these things. What happened to a Fulani man if he grazes into somebody's farm? What happened? You see, some of these things you begin to see as they are results of anger. When justice is not done in many times, people begin to take the law into their hands. And that's what we are trying to deal with. If we are living together, we must be together. And all of us must embrace peace. And whatever we have agreed that we will live by tenet of the law, we must abide by it. And by the time we continue to do that, and that's why I said that sometimes we feel so bad, because we have had several engagements with different communities, different tribes, and then it seems everything is okay. Then suddenly you wake up one day and you begin to hear. And then by the time you dig into it and see the triggers, unfortunately, they are just sometimes minor things that will trigger the death of 10, 20, 30 people. And as I told you earlier, these things happen within few minutes. The damage is done and the community is bleeding.
We just hope that in no distance time, peace will definitely return to Zango Kataf and other surrounding communities where we're having these issues. Well, I've been speaking with Honorable Amos Magaji, is the member representing Zango Kataf Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.